Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mitzi, aka the Loopy Scientist, and in today's video I am going to be learning how to do tapestry crochet. I've been crocheting for about 2.5 years now, and I have really wanted to learn how to do tapestry crochet for the longest time. I'm just really intimidated by it. So I figured I would go ahead and just do it because there have been a lot of designs that I really want to make. In particular, there is one pattern that I really want to make, and I will show you all the yarn that I got for it in just a second, but it is this pattern that I'll put up here. It's basically one of those like beware ogre signs from the Shrek movies. Shrek is one of my favorite movies, so I want to put that and actually put that on this wall. If you've been watching any of my videos lately, you'll notice that this wall is pretty blank, and that's because I want to put stuff up there. It's just there's stuff that's in my head that I want to make and just haven't actually made. So I want to put it kind of along this back wall here, but that pattern has, I think, like 5 different colors in it, and I just don't feel like I can just completely dive into that just yet. So as a compromise, because I do want to start tapestry crochet, but I don't want to make something that I just won't use, I am going to make the pattern that I'm going to put up here right now. It's No Weenies Allowed from SpongeBob. I'm a huge SpongeBob fan. If you know me in real life at all, you'll know that I make SpongeBob references basically constantly. And it's from one particular episode where SpongeBob and Sandy go to this place called the Salty Spittoon. And, you know, the guy's like, "Welcome to the Salty Spittoon. How tough are ya?" And basically, there's no weenies allowed inside of the Salty Spittoon because there's a place across the street called Weenie Hut Jr. Anyways, I want to make this sign that says "No Weenies Allowed" and put it on my craft room door, like right on the outside, because I think it would be super cute. The original sign is just white and red, basically like a white sign with red lettering, but I'm going to make it in my own color. So I'm going to make it in this mint color by Big Twist Value, and this purple color, also Big Twist Value. I feel like it gives very SpongeBob vibes, and it's also more me, but it still kind of conveys that message that it is a SpongeBob pattern. I went ahead and already bought the yarn for the Shrek pattern, actually. I got a gift card from my mother-in-law for my birthday. Shout out to my mother-in-law. And she gave me a gift card for Michael's. So I went to the Michael's website, and I think yarn was like 20% off or something like that. So I went ahead and got all the colors that I needed for the Shrek one, just so I can motivate myself to actually make it, because I'll already have the yarn for it once it comes time and I'm confident enough to make that pattern. So let me show y'all the yarn that I got for the ogre one. We're not going to make the ogre one in this video, but I already got the yarn, so I'm going to go ahead and show you. I got all of the colors in Loops and Threads Impeccable acrylic yarn. I've not worked with this yarn before, but it feels pretty soft. And this is actually the yarn that the designer used in the pattern. The designer of both of these patterns is Damsel Design Co. I thought it was really funny because they're both patterns that I've been wanting to make, and they just happen to be by the same person. Here is all of the yarn for the Shrek pattern. That'll be for a later video, but I just wanted to go ahead and show you guys. I got burgundy, a light green, a dark green, soft taupe, and white. But as you can see, it's kind of a lot of colors for my first tapestry project, so I thought I'd start off with something that's only 2 colors. So that's what we're gonna use for the No Weenies Allowed. Because I was already at Michael's to pick up this yarn, I just kind of went over to the yarn section and I couldn't help myself, and I bought some cotton yarn, Loops and Threads Classic Cotton in this hot pink color, and then Karen Cotton Cupcakes. I was actually leaving and then I saw this and I was like, oh, so cute. I think it would make a really cute bandana. Or I've been making cup cozies, and I think because it's cotton yarn, I could definitely use this. I think it's 100% cotton. Well, this one's 60% cotton, 40% acrylic, but I still think that that would work okay for a cup cozy. So I got this one, and then I got this terracotta color in Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. Also this color Succulent in 24/7 cotton, and Dragonfly also in 24/7 cotton. The Impeccable yarn that I got was for a personal project, so I used a gift card for it, but then the 24/7 cotton yarn I can use to make like cup cozies, coasters, or like bandanas and things. All of the cotton yarn I can basically use to prep for markets, and I have 2 events coming up. So I think that that will be really helpful. And then of course I have these 2 colors for the no weenies allowed tapestry. Now, I haven't done tapestry before at all, but I have watched a lot of videos. Last night I was actually watching a video by my friend here on YouTube, Hey It's Mel B, and she basically made a video, I think it was over 2 years ago now, that was things that I learned during my first tapestry project. And it's really funny because I was watching that video, you know, it's been 2.5 years since she posted it, and she said something along the lines of, tapestry is a lot harder than you realize it's going to be, or something like that during the video. And I was like, oh wow, I came in so confident that I could just do it. And now I'm a little nervous, but I think it'll be fine either way. But another thing that she said was that she wishes that she had multiple, at least cakes of each of the colors as well whenever she was working with the colors. So I think I'm going to do that with the background color. So the pattern is, I'll just show y'all this grid since you can't really see what the numbers are or anything, but this is like the pixel grid, and you can see that there's a background color and then there's a darker color for the wording. So I'm going to use this mint green for the background color and then use the purple for the wording. So I actually made a couple of little balls for the green just in case I need them. My plan is actually to carry the yarn across all of the stitches. I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube, so forgive me because I can't remember all of the creators' names. I remember Mel's video because she's a friend, but there was one video that they were saying, I'll try to link it down below if I remember, but there was one video where they were teaching how to do a tapestry crochet pattern, and I remember it being a goose pattern, and they basically said that you don't have to carry, like float your yarn all the way across, or like basically work over your yarn tail all the way across. You can do it every like 4 stitches or so just to like anchor it as you're going across. I think especially for like these rows where it's basically just a couple of stitches in the lighter color and then a bunch of stitches in the other color, I think those I will probably just do. I'm kind of thinking that I might just do the little balls for each of those sides, but I don't know. I haven't fully decided yet how I'm gonna, I think I'm just, I don't know. Now I'm second guessing myself. You know what? I think I'm just gonna try to float the yarn and then just anchor it every couple of stitches, every like 4 to 6 stitches or so, even all the way across. And if that gets too annoying towards the end, especially for these last 2 rows, then I'll use the other little balls of yarn. But I have them here just in case I feel like I need them. And then for the purple, I think if I end up needing a different skein, I didn't make any cakes of this one, but I'll just work from the other side of the yarn and just work from there if needed. We'll see how messy this gets. If this gets too messy, then maybe I'll cut it and then I'll just cake up a bunch of different ones. I obviously haven't done this before, so I have no idea. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get started. I bought this pattern. Again, it's from Damsel Design Co. I bought both of the patterns, both the Ogre pattern and the No Weenies Allowed pattern. It's really helpful because they actually have on here, they do suggest making a gauge swatch. I'm not going to do that. I think I'm just going to use a 4.5mm crochet hook. I'll see how it's going, maybe row 2 or row 3 or so, to see how the stitches are looking. But I think I have a tight enough tension because I do amigurumi a lot that it'll be fine and I won't see any crazy gapping or anything. So I'm going to use 4.5. I'm worried that a 4 will split the yarn too much. And I usually use a 5 for this yarn. Like that's what I'm most comfortable with in this yarn anyways. So I think a 4.5 is going to be my friend here. So they recommended using a weight 4 yarn and a 4.5mm hook. So that's what I'm doing and hoping for the best. And I'm just not going to gauge swatch. Now, the good thing about this is they have the pixel pattern. They also have the color block like thing to tell you how many of each color to do as you go along, and they have the written pattern. The written pattern looks a bit wild and I don't think I'm going to be able to read that well, but I think I have the pixel printed out in front of me and I have the color block here, so, and it's on my iPad, so I think once I get done with a row, maybe I can, I don't know if I want to cross it off all the way across here, but maybe I can cross it off on this color block thing and maybe just like do like the edge or something on this side. I know the basic concept of tapestry, which is you chain and then row 1 actually is basically row 1 is basically when you're working from like right to left if you're a right-handed crocheter in the pattern. So I'm going to be working right to left on row 1, and then every odd row will be right to left and every even row will be left to right, and all the even rows are the wrong side of the pattern. So I'm going to try my best to keep, I think that's the whole point, to try to keep the yarn tail on the wrong side, so everything looks nice and neat. That tutorial that I was watching yesterday also mentioned, I really need to find it because they had a lot of really great tips in there. They did their color changes differently depending on whether it was the wrong side or the right side. So I'm going to try that because their stitches look super neat. Basically, instead of doing like half the stitch and then finishing the stitch with the new color on the wrong side, they finished the stitch with their old color and then pulled the other color through, kind of chained basically, to change color on the wrong side, but then on the right side they did your classic color change technique. Keep in mind, this is not a tutorial by any means. This is me learning how to do this technique. So if all goes terribly wrong, I'm sorry, but hopefully it won't. And hopefully we'll have a fun little sign to put on my door by the end of this. I don't know how long this is going to take. This is a decently big pattern. I actually realized that this pattern, stitch wise, is larger than the ogre pattern. So I have no idea how big it's going to turn out. I think it's a good beginner start to tapestry crochet, and I just want to go ahead and dive on in. So I've been talking for 500 years, so let's go ahead and get started. Row 1 is done, but I'm noticing something already. This is kind of like twisting, and I think that that's normal. I don't make a whole lot of things that have like really long chains, so I'm hoping that that's normal and that'll just kind of flatten itself out eventually. The one like full wearable I made was a granny hexagon cardigan, so I wasn't gonna have any chains beginning there. I made a blanket once, but that was so long ago that I honestly don't remember what happened, or if it twisted because it was such a long chain, who knows. And I also started a shirt at some point last year, but I made a single crochet like foundation row, and I think those are more stretchy, so I don't think that it did this whole curling thing. It's actually already kind of uncurling just with me messing with it, so hopefully it'll be fine. But row 1 is done, and I think we start color changing right off the bat basically at row 2, so let's see how that goes. All right, so we are 4 rows in and we have had a couple of color changes. I have some thoughts. The piece is kind of twisting a bit, but I think that that's just normal with single crochet for the first few rows. I think it'll flatten out as I keep going along because it's definitely less twisty now than it was whenever I first started. Basically, I just have the bottom of the frame done. I'm not even using this little grid, honestly. I am really just using the color blocks on my screen. I think those are most helpful at this moment. But what I'm going to do right now is basically just cross off the rows that I've done on this grid. That way I don't confuse myself later. I don't know if you actually have to cross off the full line or if you could just cross off, like, you know, the numbers on the edge or whatever. But I think I'm getting the hang of it. I was a bit confused as to why, from that tutorial that I was seeing, why we needed to basically chain and then like pull the yarn. To me, at least the first time, it felt like it confused me a bit because it looked like an extra stitch until I pulled it like really tight. But now I think I feel a little bit better about it. I don't know. I guess I'm still a little bit confused as to why we're doing that. Another thing that I noticed is I know these are both big twist value because I bought them at the same time, but it seems like the purple is a little bit thicker than the mint color. So if you look closely, I don't know if you can see that. Hold on. Let me see if I can maybe like... Can you see how... Excuse my fingers. Oh my goodness. How ugly. Okay, can you see how the purple's kind of peeking through behind the green a little bit? But on the rows that are purple, it keeps going in and out of focus, so I'm sorry. But on the rows that are purple, the green doesn't really peek through underneath it. But like these rows, you can see kind of the top of that purple stitch. I think it's because the green seems to be a little bit thinner than the purple. But overall, I mean, the yarn tails aren't too bad yet. I think I have to make a conscious effort to bring in the tail because I'm not actually like doing a lot of color changes where the tail just naturally kind of goes behind the stitch. So on these rows for like all of that's purple, all of this is mint, but there's some purple on the edge of the mint line, for example, like these stitches, and then this is all mint. I had to basically like every like 6-ish stitches I would bring the yarn tail over and then stitch over it basically. Same thing with the mint on the other ones. So I think it's working out okay. I don't think that they're too tight or too loose so far, so I think I'm keeping decent tension when it comes to the yarn tail so far. Some of them are a little bit loose on these mint ones, but I would rather have that than have it be too tight and then kind of pull my work together. So I think it's okay so far. We've got, sorry, I feel like I don't know where you are. We've got the bottom of the frame done. And the next row is actually the fun part because I think we begin the words. There's a lot of different colors on this color block thing. And it seems like we're starting the bottom of the allowed. So this is where it's going to get interesting and fun. So I will check back in with you guys in a bit. I was trying to record a decent amount of the process, but it took me like 30 minutes just to get through like the first 2 rows because I was still trying to figure everything out. And that's a lot of footage and a lot of storage on my phone. So I don't think I'm going to be able to do the full process, and I apologize. But I will check back in periodically. All right, we're back again. I feel like my face is taking up this entire screen and I apologize. But I have finished row 5 now. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been here for what feels like 100 years. I have been trying to watch some YouTube while doing this. I was watching a video that just went up today by a girl who knots, Kayla. She's an Aussie crochet YouTuber. I'll link her down below. And I'm not gonna lie, I barely looked up. I basically just looked up to see the stuff that she was talking about, but I was so focused on this. I don't think that this is very mindless at all. So I think I'm gonna have to either listen to music or watch a show that I've watched 1,000 times, because anything else I'm not gonna be paying attention to at this point in time, at least while I'm learning. But this is where we are. So we did some color changes this time around. Let me show you the back. So I carried the yarn over basically the whole back, so you can see some of the like purple peeking through some of those green stitches. And I think you can see that the purple is thicker than the green in here, but I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference for the end product. Also, it's my first one, so you live and you learn. The yarns don't look that dissimilar in the skein, but now that I'm like feeling them, I can definitely feel that the mint is thinner, but they are the same yarn, so that's a bit disappointing. And obviously it's big to its value, so it's no longer available. They might have these colors at Michael's, but I'm not gonna go and like search for like the thickness of the yarn. I'm just gonna go with it for now. I think it's turning out okay anyways. And right now it's really giving Patrick's shorts, so it's giving SpongeBob at least. Maybe not SpongeBob himself, but a SpongeBob character. I'm loving it so far. I am really enjoying the process. It's just remembering where to do the color changes has been a bit of a wild ride. Like this is the first row where there were a lot of color changes. I think we changed the color probably 14 times that we changed colors in this row. And so just remembering where those color changes are. I have now started using the grid a little bit more on this round, because now the blocking has gotten a little bit confusing. Not terribly confusing. I think if I remember the numbers, you know, like 3, 5, 7, 3, 6, 1, whatever. And since it's only 2 colors, like I could probably keep track of that in my head. But in this one, at some point, I looked at that and I was like, oh wait, which one of these white blocks am I in? So I had to use the grid to kind of count out where I was. So that's the only thing that I've kind of come across so far, but overall it's a good time. And 5 rows are done. It's probably been about, I don't know, it's maybe been about an hour and a half since I started, and I've only gotten 5 rows done, which isn't like great progress, but it's fine. Yeah, I mean, Kayla's video, I'm 34 minutes into it, and I was watching that basically portion of this, but the other rest of the time I was just kind of in silence. So I think I've been doing this for about an hour and a half, because I feel like the first like 50 minutes or so I was just in complete silence and trying to film the thing. So we're gonna keep going, and you're at this angle so I can just angle you down hopefully, and you'll be able to see what I'm doing. But I don't know how much battery my phone has left, and also this is taking up a lot of storage on my phone, so we'll see how much of this I'm able to film. Okay, I will see you guys in a second. It is 9:45 and I have gotten 6 rows done. This one definitely had a lot more color changes within it. It was, I think I changed the color, I don't know, probably. I changed the color 22 times during this row. This is what it looks like so far. And this is what our back is looking like. So not too bad. I'm trying my best to carry the yarn over whenever I switch the colors. I will say though, it feels harder in the back to carry the yarn over because then the yarn is in the front, and so you have to go through the yarn through the stitch and pull it back out. And I don't know, if it, to me it's a bit more cumbersome to kind of go over the yarn tail in the back, or on the wrong side whenever the wrong side is facing you. You have to keep the tails in the front of your work. Does that make any sense? Anyways, these got a little bit twisted up, but I was able to get them untwisted pretty easily. I just kind of held them up and let this spin out, so then all of this got untwisted. So tomorrow we'll be able to start with kind of a blank slate, but I think it's looking pretty good so far. I'm pretty happy with it. Some of the color changes do make it a little bit more difficult to keep tension, but it's not been too bad. One thing that I am noticing though is whenever I'm working on the right side, trying to go under the 2 V's, and if I have one of the yarn tails kind of going through that area, like for example on the next row, whenever I have this, when I go under these 2 V's, sometimes I also catch this yarn. Like, for example, whenever I go under these 2 V's for this purple, I'll probably also catch this green yarn a bit. So I'm trying my best to avoid that and only go under the 2 V's, but it's been a little bit difficult. I think it's just gonna take some getting used to, but I'm liking it so far. I think I'm really gonna love the end result. Even if it's not perfect, it's mine and it's handmade, so I'm okay with that. All right, I will see you guys maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I have a friend coming over. She's gonna help me tag some stuff for my next events, kind of get all of my inventory done. So we'll see how long that takes, and then I have a birthday dinner, and then Saturday I have some plans. So I'm unsure if I'm gonna have time to work on it tomorrow, or maybe Saturday evening. I'm not sure, but I will see you guys in like 2 seconds to you at some point for me. All right, good night.
Many parts of the process later.
Hi friends, it's a couple weeks later.
That's an understatement.
I'm actually about to board a flight to Buffalo, but I brought my my tapestry project with me, so I'm gonna try to work on it on the plane. It's apparently a very full flight, so we'll see how it goes, and I'm trying to sneakily do this right now, so I don't know. I will keep y'all updated though, and hopefully I can get some of the work done on this flight, but I have it in hand and I have my hook, so wish me luck. Hello friends, sorry that this is the worst angle in the world because there is literally nowhere. I probably should have brought my actual, like my little mini tripod with me, but I didn't, so we're just working with what we've got, and you're propped up on my laptop right now. Sorry that this is a terrible angle, and also that the lighting in here is atrocious. I have turned on every single lamp in this hotel room, but apparently they don't believe in overhead lighting, so all of the lamps are on, but it's also 8:30 p.m., so the sun's going down. Anyways, I worked a tiny little bit on this project on the plane, but I actually don't think that I've updated y'all in a bit, so this is how much I've gotten done since the last update. So far, I have finished the allowed part of the no weenies allowed sign. This is where we are. We have finished the allowed, and then a row right above it, I'm pretty sure I'm about to start the weenies in this next row. That's the front. And then this is the back. So far I've learned a few things. First of all, keeping tension is really difficult when doing all of these color changes, and I think that this is one of the things that Mel, hey it's Mel B here on YouTube and on Instagram, talked about whenever she was doing her tapestry project, that like keeping tension between the color changes is pretty difficult, and I'm definitely seeing that. Another thing is, and I think I talked about this before, the purple yarn is thicker than this mint yarn. So that's been a little bit of a struggle, because if I carry anything over, you can kind of see whenever I use the mint yarn, if I carry over any part of like crochet over the ends of the purple, I don't know if you can see, hold on, let me see if I can show you. Do you see that? Like right here. Do you see that? So you can see a little bit of the purple peeking through. And, you know, I didn't expect this to be perfect, obviously, because it's my first tapestry project. I'm learning as I go. I think I've decided, at first I was doing yarn over, which is what I typically do for non-amigurumi projects. But I like the cleaner stitches of yarn under, yarn over. So that did mess with my tension a little bit, because I kind of changed that like halfway through the thing, and I wasn't super consistent about it until the past few rows. So there's that. I'm getting some like waviness. I think you already saw that. So I'm getting some waviness, and I think that's because of the tension issue, and also like the way that I'm carrying the yarn over. But I'm not too worried about it. I think I might steam block it afterwards to just kind of let it relax a little bit. Like I think I'm gonna pin it to a blocking board and steam block it afterwards. So not too worried about it at this exact moment. It's like 8:30ish p.m. right now. So I'm gonna edit this week's YouTube video that's supposed to go up tomorrow. So I'm gonna edit that video, and then I am going to work on this for the rest of the night until I go to sleep, and then I have to be up for the conference decently early tomorrow, so we'll see how much I can get done before I get too sleepy. Today was a travel day, so I am pretty tired, because as soon as I landed, I went to university where the conference is at, and then went to dinner, and now I'm back in the hotel room, and I hadn't eaten until dinner, so I was very hungry and dehydrated by the time dinner came around. So yeah, I am proud of myself for finishing the allowed. I mean, that's already a win in my book, but we will keep working on it, and hopefully by the end it'll be less wavy, and maybe the stitches will look cleaner. All right, I'll check back in with you guys soon. All right, y'all. So I think the last time I checked in was before I got on the plane on my way to the conference. Or maybe it was in the hotel room. I don't remember exactly how much I had done at the time, but I am now back home and it's done. Look at this. It's done. Very first tapestry crochet project complete for the most part. I need to weave in the ends from the beginning, and then I also need to weave in, I don't know why I made this tail so long, but I need to weave in this end here. I actually already crocheted this end in, so I ended the purple at the end of this row and then just crocheted it in to the next row. So I'm just gonna go like down a little bit, and then I'll cut this off. And then this is what the back of it looks like. So as you can tell, I changed my technique a ton. I think I talked about this before, but I changed my technique to kind of match what I was feeling. Since this was such a learning process for me, I wanted to figure out like what my favorite method was when it came to tapestry crochet. And I think I decided that I like to just go over the ends of the yarn. And yes, you can see it a little bit. Like if you look closely at any of the mint, you can see the purple underneath it, but you can't see the mint underneath the purple really at all. So I think it's because the mint color was so much thinner than the purple color, even though they were the same yarn. I think I talked about that at the beginning, that I noticed for some reason this mint was thinner. So I think that was the main issue, but I really love the way that this turned out. And it's a little bit bigger at the bottom because I think, I was still trying to figure out how I was going to do everything. I started off and then I thought that maybe I was going to try to float the yarn. And as you can see at the bottom here, like my tension is pretty loose. And this is the biggest part actually of the project. So it kind of comes out like this, like a trapezoid. So my tension was pretty loose here. So I tightened up that tension throughout this. But I don't know, I wasn't really loving having to keep track of like how many stitches I was doing between the like going over the ends, so I could like kind of get it locked in here. So I went back to floating and I didn't love the way that looked. So then I started just trying to crochet over the tail at this point, and then that's what I ended up sticking with. I found that to be so much easier than having to keep track of the tension on the tails. Like my tension between the color changes became a lot more consistent after I just started crocheting over the tail. And then I didn't have to remember very much, when I was on the wrong side, to bring the yarn back over to the side that I was working on. It felt like a little bit backwards. So I ended up just basically keeping it if I was on the wrong side, the wrong colored yarn, basically the yarn that I wasn't actually working with, would be in the front. And then when I was on the back side, of course, I was crocheting over it in the back. That way the color stayed in the back at all times. And yes, this caused a little bit of the purple peeking through, but I don't mind it. It's a personal project. I would never sell this to anyone, but I think for me, this is just fine. So because my tension was, another thing that I did was I was using yarn over at the beginning of this project. And then kind of towards this middle part here, I was experimenting between yarn over, and yarn under, basically bringing the yarn over the hook twice, or like I do in the amigurumi, I actually do yarn under, yarn over, where I basically grab the yarn with my hook and the yarn is underneath, and then bring the yarn over my hook later. So I actually ended up deciding kind of halfway through as well that I wanted to do yarn under, yarn over. I just really liked more the way that the stitches were looking at that point. They look cleaner to me. So it was a lot of trial and error, especially for the allowed part of this. But then once I got the hang of it, this got done pretty quickly. Like I think at the end of the last day of the conference, which was on a Friday morning, I had up to maybe, I would say 75% of the weenies done. And then I still had all of this left. And by the end of the day of the conference on that last day, it was only a half day that day. So we were done by like about 12:30 or so. I was basically halfway through the no, and then at the airport waiting for my flight, which I really only had maybe 30 minutes to crochet before I boarded, because I found some friends at the airport from the conference and just basically chatted with them the whole time. And then on the plane, which was maybe a 3-hour plane ride, I was able to basically finish the rest of it. It didn't take me that full time, but I was basically able to finish everything up from like maybe 75% of the weenies up within like a 24-hour period, which is pretty good for me because I'm a slow crocheter. Overall thoughts, I really enjoyed this. I think that this is something that I want to continue doing. So I think I showed y'all at the beginning of this video, I already have the yarn for my next tapestry project, which is the No Ogres Allowed. So it's that sign from Shrek. So I already have the yarn to work on that. So I think I'm going to do that next. But before I do that, I am actually, because it's like kind of roughly at the bottom, I think I'm going to try steam blocking this project. And I left a super, super long tail of the mint because I'm going to add a dowel to it. So that is my plan for the day. I just need to see, I know we have some dowels at my house, but I don't know if I have any that are thin enough for this. So I'm going to check. If not, then I'm going to have to run up to the hardware store, grab a dowel, and do that. But before I do that, I'm going to steam everything. So I'm going to go ahead and steam block this. I actually haven't used my blocking board yet, so I'm excited to use that. We'll go through that, block this project, add a dowel to it, and then we will be completely done with this. So let's go ahead and get started with that. It's the next day and the project is done. So I think that the steam blocking really helped. As you can see down here, it's not as wavy as it was before. And I went ahead and added a dowel to it. These are actually marshmallow sticks that we had in the house. And then I single crocheted around the dowel and each of the stitches up top, and then just chain some to attach to the other side. I don't know how many chains I did, but I think that this is like a decent size, and also I was running out of yarn, so I kind of had to stop there, right? I weaved in all the ends. There is a little bit of a overhang on this one that I keep trying to like tie back here. I think I'm just gonna like tie it to one of these other ends and then leave it at that so it doesn't show anymore. Yeah, this is gonna go on my door. I had a great time doing it, and I think I might be into tapestry crochet now. So my next project will be the Beware Ogre sign from this same designer. I have some really fun stuff coming up. Next week will just be a vlog of the stuff that I do this week. It is actually currently Tuesday, which is the day that I usually put up the videos. So we'll see if this goes up tonight or tomorrow morning. I learned a lot during this process. If you want to see more stuff like this, want me to try the next tapestry project, or if you have any fun ideas for future videos, please comment them down below, like this video, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!